My name is Jade, owner and principal planner of Joyful Events by Jade, and this is The Cookie Table. This is a podcast all about love, marriage, relationships, and the wedding industry, wedding news. Perfect for anyone that is getting married, is married, a wedding vendor, or someone that just loves weddings. Grab your favorite cookie from The Cookie Table, pour yourself a glass of Chardonnay, and let's get into it. Kelly McCleary with Hey Sugar Social and Just Wed Social. Welcome to The Cookie Table.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. You're a peanut butter blossom gal.
I am. I'm just a cookie gal, though. I'm a sweets girl.
Hell yeah.
I love dessert.
They're delicious.
Yeah.
They're delicious. Thank you, Grandview Bakery, as always, for the cookies.
Yum.
All about you first. Let's start with tell me about your businesses. What do you do? Tell the people.
Okay. So Hey Sugar Social is a social media management agency, and Just Wed Social is wedding content creation. So that's a very short pitch, but
That's what
we do a lot.
And you started with Hey Sugar Social first.
Yes.
When did you start that?
Well, that's a loaded question. I was an elementary teacher for 10 years, and I have always had like a little side hustle business. The first one failed, which we're okay with that because we learn and grow. Mm-hmm. And in 2020, I like to say that I became an accidental influencer, and I hated it because I was trying to help small businesses I actually started it right before the lockdown of COVID happened. And I was really just wanting to go into small businesses and kind of promote them. And I wasn't asking for anything. I wasn't asking for money or, product for free. I just kind of did my own little reviews, and it quickly grew. And then I realized that I can actually do something with this because I really love helping small businesses. And especially during that time where a lot of businesses were closing, and it was, what the world was like. It was
shit.
It was tough. Yeah. So, during that time, it kind of just grew and blossomed. And then I realized how much I hated being the focus of kind of my Instagram account, my website, and I didn't even show my face for the longest time. And one of my business besties, as I like to call her, and I consider her a mentor, she was like, you can do this for money. And you can do a lot more than you're doing, because I started working with her in 2014, actually, she was actually a luxury wedding stationer, and she taught me graphic design, and that was in 2014. So I kind of just grew and taught myself from there and evolved, and that's where Hey Sugar came from.
I love that.
And Hey Sugar is because it's a twofold, because I love sweets and candy and desserts, but also because my family says Hey Sugar as like a greeting.
That's cute.
Or we also say it as like instead of swear words, we say like, oh sugar.
Sugar.
Yeah. So
Are you like from the South?
I'm not. I was born in Georgia.
Okay.
But my family lived in the South for a long time.
Okay.
And I lived there until I was about 2. But I'm not technically from the South. But my parents
came up here.
And my parents are from here. So
okay. That's even
but
cuter.
lived down there for a while. So yeah.
I was going to say, because that's a South thing. But it's
is.
so cute.
It is.
Which I think makes it even cuter that it's up here in your name, because it's not like that's oversaid up here. We don't,
Right.
So I love that.
Yeah, thanks.
Just Wed Social kind of came a little bit more recently.
Yes. So I actually first kind of launched, I would say, Just Wed Social at the end of 2022.
Okay.
And I did nothing with it until about last year, really the beginning of this year, because I was bullied into thinking that it was not going to be a hit in Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Multiple people, family, people close to you, vendors.
Never family or friends. They are my number one biggest supporter. It was vendors. It was tough, yeah.
Look at you now.
And it's an uphill battle though. It is.
And that is why I wanted to have you on to talk about it.
We get a bad rap.
Which is rude, and I don't get it.
Yeah.
Before we get into all of that, you are currently going through a rebrand, or you're close to launching a rebrand?
It's done. The website, the logo is done.
Okay.
The whole rebrand is done. That business bestie that I told you about, she is an angel. She retired branding a long time ago, but she is an absolute genius. And I pulled her out of her retirement to do mine because we're close, and she just got what I wanted. And I went through actually 3 people with failed rebranding before, and it was not their fault.
Yeah.
They just weren't getting what I wanted exactly.
Yes.
And it's because it's really who I am as a person, and nobody's going to get that as good as one of your friends that you've known for 10 years. So
amen.
yeah.
My husband is very similar to that, because I feel like he's worked with multiple people just in business, and he's like, they're not getting it. And when you're very creative and you have this vision, but you need other people to execute it, or obviously build the website, like that's a lot of shit.
It's hard. And I can do all of that stuff myself, but I just didn't want to do it myself because I said I knew what I wanted, and I just could not execute it the way that I wanted.
Right.
And I also, I guess, couldn't explain it to other people. And I gave my friend creative range, and she blew it out of the water.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
And your attire today is very on brand.
It is on brand, but this is on brand for me and who I am.
I love it.
I'm a girly girl, and I always have been. It's my mom's fault. She's put me in bows and dresses like this
so cute.
My whole life.
So cute, as I'm in a t-shirt today. Don't mind me.
I mean, I'm the person that always overdresses. It's just who I am.
I love it.
And I just like, the accessories, and I'm just a girly girl.
Well, you look wonderful.
Thank you.
You look wonderful. More recently, I feel like you've hired more people.
I have. And honestly, I did not expect that. It blew up in a good way. I was working as a nanny, a full-time nanny, house manager, family manager, after I left the classroom. And I just decided last year, it will be a year tomorrow, actually, that I quit my job.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was very, very, very scary. I still have emotions about it.
Yeah.
But I was doing Hey Sugar and Just Wed as a side gig, and I was getting busier and busier. And of course, quit your job the same year that you buy a house and get engaged and get married. That sounds great.
Love that.
So that's what I did, and my life was crazy. But yes, my team has grew, and it's incredible.
How is kind of letting go and finding those people that you can trust? Because for me, I think that's very hard.
It is the hardest part. But the thing about my team is that I've been gifted them. So my first hire is Mara, who I wish I could clone her because I am obsessed with her. And she came to me via Sydney, who is a florist.
Okay.
Was my wedding florist. And I also have known her since 2014.
Okay.
So that's how my first hire came. And then I quickly realized, oh my God, we need somebody else to help us. And my second hire was Peyton, who is the cutest. I call her a little baby because she's a senior in college, but I love her so much. She's mature beyond her years. And she works for one of my client's sisters.
Okay.
That's how she came to me.
Yeah.
And then my most recent is a friend of mine of a decade. And she was an easy hire because, we've been really good friends for a long time.
That makes it better, though.
Yes.
When you know the people, they're going to care more. They're going to put more time and energy into you and your business because they care about you.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to find.
They do.
That's amazing.
Really, really, they want they want us all to win, you know, and succeed. So I'm very, very grateful for them.
That's great.
Yeah.
You mentioned you got married recently, so congratulations.
Thank you.
December?
I did, yeah. Last year was crazy.
Yeah.
Michael and I, we bought a house. We closed on a house, and he proposed on our front lawn that day. And his one sister was our realtor, and she had a sign. She had a photographer hiding. She had champagne waiting, and all of our new neighbors were out like taking photos of us, and it was like the cutest thing ever.
That's really nice.
Yeah,
That's
so we
intimate,
bought a house, got engaged, and planned a wedding in 7 months.
Woof. 7 months. My gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whew.
But I mean, I'm
You did
psycho and type A, so I did it.
Easy peasy
Yeah,
for you
right?
then. Now that you're married,
Yes.
and you went through a wedding day, is there anything that you would change or that you look back on now and you're like, man, I wish I would have done that or could have did differently?
So I have been in over 10 weddings as a bridesmaid and or maid of honor. I have assisted weddings. I have been a guest at over 100 weddings. So I knew very clearly like what things we should do, what we shouldn't do.
Good.
And things still went wrong.
Honest to God, though.
It happens.
It does happen.
I will tell every person until I can't speak anymore. You can plan your day to the T, and you know this as a planner. Something will go wrong, and it'll be okay.
What went wrong?
A lot of things.
Tell me a few.
Okay, so
Maybe
we got
one or
married
two big
December
ones.
16th,
Okay.
and it was crazy. We had like a 55-degree day in December, which,
my
I mean,
gosh.
it was great. It was perfect. We are hot people, so we wanted a winter wedding because we love to dance.
Yeah.
And we were like, we don't want to be sweating on the dance floor. We were still sweating, but it was amazing. And so we had soup for one of our appetizers because it was winter.
It was winter.
And we thought, ooh, a nice like Pittsburgh wedding with Italian wedding soup was great. It was ice cold. Was mad about that. Yeah.
Oh my God.
My mom is still mad about it to this day. Because that was like one of the things we were excited about.
Yes.
You know, we were like, oh, it's soup. It's cozy. It's December. Yes. So
That's super disappointing.
Yes.
Did you ever say anything to the venue that caters about it?
Yes. Yeah. We had to say a lot of things because a lot of things went wrong. We had a sweetheart table. And so Michael and I were sitting up there. We were having a moment, which was lovely. And we were enjoying ourselves. We were looking at our guests and having like just reeling in the magic of our wedding day. And then we realized that everyone was on their entree and we had not had any food yet.
Oh my gosh.
And my coordinator that day, who is also one of my social media clients, and I love her, and we are more like friends than client, you know. I walk into the cookie table room, which is where our vendors were, and I said, hey, so we don't have any food. And she lost her mind.
Yeah,
I
probably
mean,
appalled.
I'm sure you could imagine a bride coming up to you and saying, everyone else is eating and we're not. And she was raging, and she's like 4'9". She's this tiny little thing. And she like ran into the kitchen, busted through the doors, and went to the banquet captain and was like, where are my bride and groom's food?
Wow.
And
Good for her.
yeah, I mean, she was so mad.
Yeah.
So that was, that happened. It was just little things like, you know, they didn't clean up the plates from the cocktail hour, you know, the kind of like the little tray that people were setting their plates, stuff like that. Honestly, I didn't know at the time and I didn't care. I was just having
sitting around.
I was having the time of my life.
Good.
But yeah, we did have to complain about a couple things, and I am not one of those people that's going to go to Google. I am not that person because you know how it is as a business owner. That sucks.
Yeah.
So I went to the venue and they placed blame on my planner for a lot of the things. So yeah, that was fun. Yep.
But that's why you hire an outside coordinator or planner.
That I will say it until I can't. Honestly, I tell people this all the time. You have to have somebody there that is not your mom, your aunt, your neighbor, your friend, you have to have somebody that is a professional, that knows what they're doing and can speak to the people and take care of the problem so that you don't know what's happening. Because there were other issues that happened that I had no idea about until a week after the wedding, because she was finally like, do you want to hear what went wrong? And I'm like, okay, I'm over my high now, from the wedding. But yes, I will 100%. If people say, should I get a day of coordinator? Yes. My answer will always be yes, because they will handle issues that you don't even know might happen.
They're in your corner. They don't work for the venue. They work for you.
That's exactly right. And our venue had a coordinator.
That's what I was going to ask.
And I'm not going to say that she was in the wrong. I don't think that she did a bad job. I think that things were just slipped through the cracks. And unfortunately, that is their job. It's they're for the venue. That's where she gets her paychecks from, right?
Right.
And yes, you have to have somebody that is there for you. I don't care what anybody says, unless a wedding planner owns the venue, like Franklin on Penn, for example.
Great example.
Unless that person is a planner and they know things that are going to happen, or, I think that everybody needs one. Small or big weddings, I don't care if you're having 75 people. I still think you need somebody. I actually just saw I think it might have been on the Vendor Table podcast.
Okay.
They were talking about how the second shooter missed the groomsmen because the church coordinator, I guess, told the bridesmaids to start walking. And and so they had no photos of the groom and all them coming out before the ladies walked down, and I said, oh my gosh, like, if there would have been an actual coordinator there, not the church person, you would have been like, no,
we're not ready
yet. Our second shooter isn't here.
Yes.
He was like setting up his gear, and it was no fault of his own.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, that's a nightmare.
Those church ladies are crazy. And
yes.
I say that with so much love and respect. Because it is crazy. They will.
And usually they're volunteers.
That is so true as well. But they love their churches and they love the way it is supposed to be done. But they hate like outside coordinators, and they just, if you're not doing it right, like they are pissed all the time. But I'm glad that for your wedding day, you had someone in your corner. Yeah. And that kind of goes to say, too, the amount of venues that do have a coordinator, and they kind of will, there are some that discourage you from getting an outside coordinator.
Mine did.
Because they're like, you don't need it. Yes. You don't this. Okay, well, you could also be disgruntled and quit your job in a couple of months. And then the only person that's going to know all of my wants and needs is my wedding planner.
That's exactly right.
So I'm glad you had someone in your corner, but that's annoying.
Yes.
From a planning standpoint, is there anything that you look back on and because that was obviously all kind of venue related, but is there anything at all that you could tell couples that are engaged, or like, you should do this? Anything on your mind?
Well, my sister-in-law is engaged, and I told her the one thing that I wish everybody, I'm sure a lot of people hear this, but it is your wedding. Yeah. You and your spouse or partner, not spouse yet.
Yes.
Fiance. It is your day. And even if mom or dad or uncle or grandma is paying, it's your day.
Yes.
I know people have heard this before, but I told her this the other day. I said, don't let anybody bully you.
Amen.
Because you look back and you're like, you might look back and say, I didn't really want that, or I didn't like that. And that's on you.
Yep.
Because you let it happen.
Yes. And you didn't speak up.
Yeah. So I will say that my family and friends and Michael Michael's like the easiest going person ever. We're yin and yang. He balances me. But I was really, really lucky to have, I always have a really amazing support system. And they're like, you're doing a lot, but we love you, and this is you. I mean, I did everything that I wanted.
Good.
And I also, this was both of our first marriage, but we are older. We got married later in life, and I said, I've been at everybody else's weddings and celebrated happily, not begrudgingly, celebrated them. And this is what I want to do. I wanted a photo booth. I wanted the telephone booth. I wanted everything. I wanted a major dance party, and I got what I wanted.
Hell yeah.
And honestly, Michael just wanted to make me happy. Yeah. And I wasn't a bridezilla because I just knew.
Yep.
There was we wanted to have a fun dance party, and
you did it.
Yeah.
That's great. Good. You should follow yourself. I know. It's sad. And you know what? If you have family that are bullies, have a wedding planner in your corner.
That is right.
Because that helps too.
That is so true.
I feel like I've very politely put like mothers of brides in their places before, because I'm like, well, you know, I like your thoughts, I get it, but actually what she's saying is pretty good. And then they'll be like, oh.
Yes.
Yes. I'm like, well.
I have had to do that as a wedding content creator.
Yeah, sure. Uh-huh.
Because it's not just holding up a phone and taking photo and video. I have had to say, oh, wait a second. You need to wait, you know, because the bride needed a minute, or the groom needed a minute, or, you know, or I've had little flower girls or little people, you know, the ring bearers, where they're having a tantrum, and I'm like, just give them a minute.
Yeah.
Don't force them down the aisle right now. It's going to make it worse.
Kids are a fun wild card.
Yeah.
And that is what you get when you hire trusty vendors. So even you, like you said, as a content creator, you are there to help your couples in every way possible.
Yeah.
But it sounds like sometimes you do have some issues with other vendors kind of low key, or maybe more high key, not wanting you there.
So I have not directly worked with anybody that did not want me there. Perfect. Because I do have a clause in my agreement that says if you have hired your photographer and or videographer, I require, if they have been hired first before me, which is usually how it goes, because I'm usually a last minute booking, which is also fine. It's a luxury, and not everyone has that in their budget, which is okay. And so I'm usually a last minute hire, but sometimes I'm not. And we are not there to take place of anyone. We are in addition to. And I will tell you, the photographers that I've worked with are incredible.
Awesome. Because
I have a conversation with them beforehand, and I say, you know, it's very professional, but it's also casual and like friendly. And I just say like, hey, I'm not here to get in your way. I am a third angle.
Yes.
So I am never, ever, ever stepping in front of any other vendor. Of course, I'm never standing in front of a photographer. I really tell the photographer and or videographer that I'm usually like their little birdie on their shoulder. I'm literally behind their shoulder because I am never going to be the first one. Yeah. The first person is the photographer. The second person, if there is one, is the videographer. I'm the third. And my team knows that. I had people at my wedding that stepped in front of my photographer, but Donna's a magician, and she made humans disappear from some of the photos. I've seen the before and after.
Dawn Derbyshire, she is spectacular.
She is the GOAT. I will never not say that.
Absolutely.
She just did our rebrand photos too. And I mean, she's done all of our engagement. Right? She's just all of my galleries. She's on, her work is on our walls. But yeah, she had to, Photoshop some people some vendors out of our wedding photos. But yeah, I am never going to get in the way. Now, I have worked with a photographer who was really bad at his job and was not posing the couple, and they had no clue how to pose themselves, which is part of a photographer's job. Is especially if they don't know how to pose themselves, which most of us don't. Right. So I was like, okay, put your hand here and do this. And I was doing the directing, which is fine. But the maid of honor came up to me afterwards and was like, we don't know what we would do without you. And she's like, we would just be standing there.
Right.
And I'm like, well.
And the photographer was happy for you to be doing that because they had no idea what they were doing.
He kept saying, wow, you're really good at this.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was like, you're welcome.
Well, yeah. You thank God I'm here.
Yeah. So, no, I have worked with amazing vendors. Luckily, I have not had any direct issues. But again, that's because I'm very, very open with my communication. And I say, hey, look, this is why I'm here. I'm not going to get in your way. If I'm ever doing anything to be that you think I'm in your way, please let me know. But it's like it's a team effort, right?
Absolutely.
Like I just did a wedding with a photographer, and I won't say her name only because I don't want this part to seem like it's a big deal. But she had to go pump, and it was a hot day. It was in June, and her water jug was empty. And I was like, let me go fill that for you when you go to pump. Because she had like 15 minutes to pump in between this part to this part, you know? And she was like, oh my God, really? Thank you. And I like ran, got her a jug of ice water and took it to her, you know?
That's really, really nice.
But those are like little things that I do that kind of stuff all the time. But I don't even think of it. I think it's just because I've been in so many weddings and I've been to so many weddings. I've worked weddings and I just know, especially being a working mom, like she needed that water.
Yeah. We're thirsty.
So, yeah, right? So, you know, we try to be really, really helpful with stuff like that.
And I'll say it until I'm blue in the face on this podcast that we're all a team and we're all working together, because the vendors that don't understand the whole team mentality is frustrating. Or they might seem like they do, but then behind the scenes they're pissed about stuff, and it's like, well, why? So from your point of view in content creation, it sounds like you haven't really run into any issues, which is great, but can exclusivity clauses be an issue for content creators from photographers and videographers?
Yes, I think so, because like I said before, we're not there to take anyone's job. Believe me. I know my skills are not as good as your professional photographer and or videographer. And what we are capturing is completely different.
Completely different.
Yeah. And I tell people all the time too that, you know, we're not doing this just for social media. You don't have to be even a big social media person to want a content creator at your wedding. We are there to capture raw moments. And photographers also capture raw moments, but it's a little bit more polished. So, for example, I had a content creator at my wedding, and I didn't even remember this moment happening in my brain because the rush of the day, it's just so much. But we got married at Heinz Chapel, and we walked down, walked out, and then we walked back in to have portraits taken. And I did not remember this, but I did a little dance, and I was like jumping up and down, and my content creator got that, and I said to Michael, I missed you all day. And like, I could cry just now talking about it, but I love that moment. I did not even know she was behind me. And he had the biggest smile on his face, and I'm like, that's the stuff that we capture, you know? And I got a video of a little flower girl holding hands with her grandparents, like they're swinging her after the ceremony. The bride and groom were like, we didn't even know they were doing that. That's so cute. And that's the kind of stuff that we get. And so
that's really
when
special.
Photographers get mad, I'm like, I'm not there for the same content, if we want to call it that, but I'm there to get those memories. And we also, something that I love to do is I like to bring my little mini mics. And after people have had some beverages, I usually try to pull people either during cocktail hour or like after dinner. And I ask them to just record a message to the couple. It can be funny, it can be silly, heartfelt, you know, emotional. And I usually don't post those on social media because some of them are emotional, and I, you know, we keep some things secret,
Yeah.
right? Not secret, but just more intimate. And I've had so many couples say to me, oh my gosh, I didn't even know you were doing this. And that's kind of the reason that we do it, because
What a nice surprise after your wedding day.
it is. And so when I put all of the files into a folder and it says like secret love notes, like that's like my favorite thing, because you don't get to talk to everybody on your wedding day.
You don't.
And I think as a couple getting married, it's so much fun to be able to look at that, whether it be the next day or a month later or 6 months later, whatever, and say, oh my gosh, that person, you know, said this about us on our wedding day. And, you know, it's fun because sometimes they're a little bit more loose because they've had some beverages. And, you know, it's just fun. We really try to act like a friend almost at their wedding.
Yeah.
Because I love weddings and I love celebrating love no matter who it is.
Right.
And that's why I get really upset when people are like, well, wedding content creators are just a trend, or they're stupid, or, you know. And it's like, but we are there. We're there for the couple.
Literally capturing everything.
Celebrate their love. Yeah.
And it's not saying that videographers aren't capturing things. It's
No.
just, you pay specifically for a highly produced
Yes.
highlight reel or 8 to 10 minute video when you are literally capturing it all.
Right.
And sending those files raw to the couple, and they get everything.
Yes. So this is how I compare it. I had a videographer at our wedding as well. And this is no fault of videographers, but their editing process takes way longer. And that's because it's way more, you know, high quality. And I'm not saying that what we do isn't nice, but they have way more equipment and way more, you know, experience with all of that.
Yep.
And it took 4 months for me to get my wedding video back. And from my videographer, again, no issue there. We knew that was going to happen.
Right.
But we had our content creators, all the files the next morning. And we sat over brunch looking at some of the moments we didn't even know happened.
Yeah.
Michael and I have 9 nieces and nephews, and we have 5 sisters between us. And so there were little clips of the kids that we didn't even know were happening the day of.
Yeah.
And it was just so special because we had them all have little parts in the day. And that was special to us too.
That instant gratification.
It is. And that is part of our culture that we live in.
It is.
But it was so nice to be able to have that. But I will say too that at my own wedding, I have a lot of friends that love to take photos. And so many of them said to me afterwards, we didn't even need to be worried about our phones or our, you know, not one person. I swear to you, nobody had their phones out taking photos and stuff.
Yep.
Because I did have a photo booth too, because again, I was being extra, but that's okay.
That's totally okay. They're nice. Photo booths are great.
But the photo booth was amazing. I had Stephanie from Lux.
We love Steph.
Oh my gosh. Love her. Love her. And also loved the digital aspect of the photo booth too. Like everybody had it there too.
Everyone gets the whole gallery.
Yeah. And it was so cool. I loved that. And so that plus the content, I mean, we got to see that the next day. And of course, Dawn, again, bragging about her, but she's like the midnight previews queen.
She sure is.
So I had that too. But yeah, I was very spoiled. But
you had a lot of great people around you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I think a big part of why too, like that instant gratification is so nice. I mean, hate to say it's 2024 in this culture entirely, but wedding blues are real.
Oh, we had the wedding blues so
real.
So bad. So bad.
And you can like feel them already the next morning, like literally, like you're tearing it all down, or I tore down a lot of my wedding the next day, and it's just like, holy shit, like all of this time, even just setting it up.
Yes.
And it's just done.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Michael and I, we were so sad. And it was winter. Yeah. So we were even extra sad. And it was a week before Christmas. So we kind of had that week to have our blues.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was honestly, we were sitting at brunch the next morning at our hotel looking at the files and photos and stuff, and I was sobbing. I'm like, oh my God, this day was amazing.
Yeah. That's special. So you're able to have it right away and over a mimosa or some coffee.
Yeah, it was great.
It. I love that.
One of my favorite moments as a content creator was I did a wedding in January, and the bride told me that it was very important to get content of her 94-year-old grandfather. And he was amazing. Oh. At the reception, he put on this like sequin jacket and marched around and danced. And 2 months later, he passed away.
Oh, gosh.
2 months after her wedding. And I saw her post about him. And there was a moment at her wedding where he was standing in the middle of her and her sister. And I said, oh, Pap, give Pap a kiss. And they both kissed him on the cheek. And I got that on video. And they messaged me whenever he passed away and said, we have all of these memories because you took them. Wow. And, oh, man, talk about pulling at your heartstrings. I was like, wow. And, it was really, really special.
You are single-handedly easily selling content creation, I feel right now. I regret. You want to talk about wedding regrets? Now I wish I would have had that. Damn it.
I know.
That's beautiful.
It was really, really, really special. And it was just so lovely to see like the clips that she put up saying, you know, our Pap passed away. All of the clips were from her wedding day.
Wow.
And it was really cool.
Wow. Good job, Kelly. Check you out. Yeah. Fuck all the haters that told you couldn't do it.
Right?
Now, Just Wed Social is doing its thing. Do you think there is a space in the wedding content creation world for more highly produced reels of BTS, or is the point to really keep it to that raw video?
So personally, I feel like right now, social media is kind of at a turning point.
Yes.
And audiences are drawn to more raw and real and unedited content. And that is because it allows the viewer to connect more easily with the person or business or vendor. So what that means is, of course, we love to see highly produced, beautiful, whether it be a YouTube video or a reel, TikTok, whatever. Everybody loves high quality content, right? Yeah. But there is a space for that more raw. And I mean, we try to, take high quality content, images, photo or videos, and try to keep it nice, obviously.
Right.
Because we all love pretty things. But I prefer it to stay a little bit more raw.
Yeah.
Only because I think it's the instant gratification too, because we like the short clips. We like the little moments. We like to see kind of like a trailer, a recap of the day or whatever it might be.
Right.
And I mean, there's nothing wrong if people want to go that extra step and make it a little bit more high quality and polished, I guess. But that's the point of a wedding content creator, is that, we want to have those real memories.
Right.
And like the video of me jumping up and down saying like, I missed you all day. I had a water bottle in my hand. If it were not that raw, moment, I wouldn't have had a water bottle in my hand. And, I was like jumping around with it. And would it have been better? Probably not. If I didn't have the water bottle, who cares? But I would like to keep it more raw only because that's the job of the photographers and the videographers, which is, again, there's not a fine line because I think that I do one thing and they do other things.
Right.
But we're all there for the same reason. Well, I hope we're all there for the same reason, which is we're there to celebrate the couple.
100%.
Or the day or whatever, if it's an engagement engagement, a proposal,
Right.
a bridal shower, because I've done a bridal shower, bachelorette party, whatever the event is, we're there for that person, the person of honor who we're celebrating.
And that's the point. That those are the differences, and that's why having the whole team, I think, is so important. You get completely different angles, completely different types of video, completely different types of photos. It's all different. But I think at the end of the day, content creation is this beautiful, like a home video where you can look back on your wedding day and it feels more, like you said, raw, just a home-styled video. I think it's kind of a good way to put it. You know, remember when we used to sit there with our parents and watch a VHS?
Yes.
It gives you that nostalgic feel.
It does.
And now with content creation, you can do that with your wedding day.
And I think a little bit of that kind of issue is that they think that we're going to take away a job from someone else or space for someone else. But truly, there is space for all of us.
Yep.
And I think that, again, there are content creators that may have given us a bad name.
Yeah.
I never add time to a timeline, ever.
There you go.
If they have a planner or coordinator, I say, you give me the timeline, and I follow that timeline to a T. I always have it saved on my phone. My team has it saved on their phone if they're there. And I mean, it's just, I follow them all day. I follow the boss, I guess, is the photographer, right? That's what I usually like to say. And the assistant manager is the videographer if they have one. And, we're just another employee. That's how I like to look at it.
I love that.
But I really try. I mean, I come with fully prepared with a little bag of stuff. I have crayons for kids. I have safety pins, scissors, all the things you need.
Aw.
So I'm just that extra person that's going to be there for the couple.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Kelly, thank you so much for joining me. Hey Sugar Social and Just Wed Social.
Yes.
Tell people how they can get a hold of you for each.
It's just heysugarsocial.com and justwedsocial.com, and Instagram handles are the same.
Give us all a follow. Thanks so much.
Thank you.